Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Clark's Bar here in Patrick Street for episode 2 of the Iarmhi TV Club podcast for 2025. And I'm joined tonight on my right hand side by Alan Mangan, my closest right, Gerry Buckley, and the one and only Donoghue on my left. You're all very welcome, lads.
Thanks.
You know, the year is creeping up on us, ready for the first round of the football championship. We had the hurling last week, and we'll be previewing that on our next show next Monday night, please God. But for tonight, we're going to look at the football championships and maybe just look at all things football. And Gerry, I'm going to come to you. County football team this year, you know, I suppose it ended disappointingly. We had a lot of optimism going into the campaign. We were very, very competitive. I think that's the one thing we took out of that. The whole campaign under new management, new players coming in, old players retiring, whatever. But I suppose ultimately it wasn't what we hoped for in the end.
Absolutely not. And I suppose there are two portions of my answer in this. One, the league, which while we went down, we were very, very competitive against strong teams, and I could kind of live with that. But I was very disappointed with the Tailteann Cup, frankly. I felt we would get to Croke Park twice, a semi-final and a final, and possibly be holding the silverware again, and to go out the way we did against Wicklow, it was bitterly disappointing. It's a long time ago now, but I'm not somebody who forgets these things in a hurry. Unfortunately, I take it very seriously. I'm still kind of quite thick about it, to be honest with you. We all know the story. We were 8 points up early in the second half with a little bit of a breeze behind us. We were ahead coming up to the Hooter, and even after the Hooter we had chances to win it, and I felt it was a bitterly disappointing end to the year. It's gone now, there's nothing we can do about it, but I certainly think that if we're all alive and well, please God, next January, we're talking about 2026, these games that we've been losing narrowly, we have to win them. We have to get out of Division 3, and if we don't get to a Leinster final, although we now realise Leinster is very competitive. In fact, I could make an argument that there was a Leinster title up for grabs this year, and Westmeath were as good as anyone really on any given day. The targets will have to be set next year, and certainly getting out of Division 3, and if we're in the Tailteann Cup, winning it, I think would be pretty much minimum requirements. And sorry for starting on a negative note, but that's how I feel.
Alan, new rules in football. We've seen it through, you know, the leagues. We've seen it through the championships. Championship is culminating now this weekend coming. Club football, I haven't seen very, very much of it. Have you? I know you're still involved. You know, how do you think it'll work now in the championship when we get down to the cut and thrust of it?
Listen, probably the hardest thing is going to be is for referees to ref it. To be honest, they're going to have like every championship match is going to have two good linesmen with them to make sure that the halfway line rule is adhered to and so forth. But listen, the rules in general have been very, very good. It's uplifting. At least now we can actually start looking at football again. It's the rules are really suiting some lads. They mightn't suit other lads, but the lads that you really want to look at, the likes of Luke Loughlin, say in the league and in the championship this year, was outstanding. It's great to see him really showing what he's all about in terms of football, and which he hasn't got to show the last number of years because of mass defences or whatever like that. But in terms of Westmeath, you'd be a little bit disappointed about the way it ended, but I'd be very, very optimistic the way the whole year went in general. I know, okay, we probably were favourites at one stage to win the Tailteann Cup and it didn't materialise, but I would think that we made massive strides forward this year. When you take that where we were the year before and the amount of people we had lost throughout the off season, and we also went into that Wicklow match without Matthew Whittaker, who arguably, maybe apart from Luke Loughlin and Ronan Wallace, was Westmeath's most consistent player throughout the whole championship. So I would say that I would think that things look up in terms of next year. But as Gerry said, the minimum requirement next year is to get out of Division 3 and to, please God, get to a Leinster final and maybe contest in that. Otherwise, making sure that if we are in the Tailteann Cup that we win it this thing.
Speaking of things looking up, we have to thank Clark's Bar for the food that's just been handed into us. So thank you very much. We're moving up in the world, Shane Donoghue.
Well, you bring me back, you get the good stuff, right?
Well, there's no denying that. Shane, I know I sat with some of the league matches with you, and watching the league. And it was a good campaign, but I suppose the one negative was that we were so close in so many games, but we never just seemed to be able to get over the line at a crucial time.
Yeah, look, we had a few good trips, good outings. We were down in Cork together. Yeah, I concur with the lads about what needs to happen next year. I do think if we sat out at the start of the year like we did, we talked about how much transition. It's a team that's a new team, new management, and I think our expectations were quite low at the beginning, but when we started to see these performances for early matches, and of course we were losing them by a point or a late goal against Meath and things like that, but we were very, very impressed with the development in such a short time. And, you know, credit to Dermot McCabe and his team for doing that. But then I started to get worried. This trend, you know, we were making excuses, it's close, they're very good, it's going to come, but it didn't come. And then it manifested again in the championship.
Kildare, yeah.
So that's something as a group that they're going to have to tackle quickly, because there isn't time next year to do that. They have further development to do. So you'd be a little bit worried about that. But overall, if you looked at our expectations at the beginning of the year, how they changed halfway through the league from the performance we were seeing and the amount of experience quite a few of those lads are after getting. I would imagine that there's a certain amount of work going on in the background still. Development, keep an eye on players, setting certain targets for lads in their own club championship, and I'd be optimistic for 2026, but look, everything's so competitive now. All the counties are doing the same work, the same S&C, the same level of professionalism, huge backroom teams. You have to get the breaks sometimes, and we just didn't get them in the league, and it probably festered a little bit going into the championship.
Yeah, and I think, Gerry, now the most important thing is, I think, you know, for that football group is to retain the set of managers that was there now, with no word on anything other than the fact that they finished the year and we haven't heard anything one way or the other. But I think the lads have a year done with that group. You know, we know, and we spoke during our podcast during the league campaign, how fit the footballers were, and you know, credit to them. And I think Mark McHugh did an awful lot of work with them, and you know, the whole gang, they had them in tip-top shape. And you know, that development will be pushing on next year, but I think it's crucial that we hold on to that group.
Yeah, absolutely, and I hope it didn't sound too negative, because I agree with what's said. You know, we were a joy to watch a lot of those games. We were super fit, but I'm just one of these pains in the neck who claims all these buzzwords that have come into manager speak in recent years. I don't think Alan has gone down that road, but performance and everything. To me, a good performance is winning the game, what goes up on the scoreboard. And we didn't see that out last year. I don't know who's going to wave a magic wand before next January, but we have to win games, Ray. We have to win games. I'm sorry if that sounds too black and white, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, but it's a journey, Gerry. Like, those young players, there's a mass exodus of a lot of experience. There's a new management group. I don't know if you're familiar with the idea of atomic habits and what happened with the British cycling team.
Yes, go ahead, yeah.
Right? And it's like that. It is performance, it is system, it is stick to the role. These things will come to fruition if they're all done properly at the start. If you start looking for immediate gratification, you lose that long-term development and those good habits. And that's what it has to be. We probably were a little bit ahead on certain elements than we would have expected at the beginning. Of course, the results, it's a results-driven game, but it has to be a long vision as well. It has to understand. You put an ice cube in a room when it's minus 10 degrees. If you go to minus 9 degrees, nothing happens. All the way up to minus 2, minus 1, nothing happens. As soon as you get to freezing, or 0, and plus 1, that thing melts. But it isn't that 1 degree that's different. It's all those degrees as you go along. And I think we give them kudos for what they did this year. And the next step would be, obviously we want the Tailteann Cup, but let them develop. They're very, very young.
Yeah. But what I did say, I think initially, I distinguished the two. The league was kind of acceptable to me because we were losing narrowly to teams that's kind of acceptable you lose to. But when you're playing teams from divisions below you, as happened with Limerick and Wicklow, I expect to win those games. And I'm sure I quoted last year, I had a lot of chats with the late, great Paddy Flanagan over the years, and our philosophy was always win the games you should be winning. And I would say in the case of Limerick and Wicklow, and it's not being demeaning to them, they operated in the division below us, so I would expect them to win those games. And as such, I was bitterly disappointed we didn't.
It's vitally important that we keep this management team. The Cavan gig is up for grabs now. I'm pretty sure that they'll be looking at Dermot McCabe, and if Dermot McCabe goes, I'm sure that if he is a management team, no more than Liam Cahill yesterday brought Bevins with him to Waterford and brought him back to Tipperary, and we look how that works out. If Dermot's happy with his management team, he's going to bring them with him. So that means that if we lose Scully, McHugh and McCabe, 3 lads from outside the county are in with us now, that's a big hole for us to fill. We need to make sure that these stay on board along with Damien Healy and Niall O'Brien, lads that seem to work well together, and make sure that it's a stepping stone.
Hugely important, yeah.
The great news, of course, is, as I said earlier, that suddenly 2026, the Leinster Championship, is there to be won. It's not like conversations we've had for the previous 15 years. We said, oh God, stay the right side of the draw from Dublin. You know, Dublin aren't scary anymore, and you know, I think we're as good as anything that's there, and let's hope that we have a real rattle at the Leinster Championship next year.
Yeah, exactly. And really starting now, from this weekend onwards, I'm sure management, if they are going back in situ, they will be starting to look out for additional players, because, you know, it's probably fair to say that we need backup in certain areas, certainly I would say around the middle of the field. You know, it's so important now with kickouts and getting primary possession from them. So, you know, Ray Kennellan, quality footballer, was excellent for 40 minutes against Kildare and went off injured, and we really had no backup to go in instead of him. So I'm sure starting now this week, the lads will be putting their hands up, and you know, we're going to look at the club championships now, and we'll go through all the draws with the 3 lads here now, and you know, we're not going to pick winners at this stage of the year. We've very little to go on, so we're just going to run through the fixtures quickly, starting with Clark's Bar sponsored the junior competition, Junior 2 Section A, Loughnane Valley, Delvin and Tuberclare and St. Paul's. Loughnane Valley both in those games Sunday. Loughnane Valley and Delvin in Springfield at 11 o'clock, and Tuberclare and St. Paul's in Multi at 11 a.m. And then Section B, Terrace Pass and Gary Castle in Terrace Pass on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, and Colliery and Mullingar Shamrocks on Monday evening in Colliery at 7:15. Lads, there's very little to go on here. Junior 2 competition, Ballinagore won it last year, have progressed. Delvin have been beaten in the final for the last 2 years. Paul's coming back down into it. You know, have we any opinions on it? Would we expect you know, one of the sole junior teams to come back out of it again? Have we, you know, Ballinagore did it last year, Delvin were in the final, you know.
Just first of all, you'd hope that the senior teams that have teams down in that competition, that's their 3rd team in most cases, you'd hope that those fixtures were all fulfilled. I know there was a few incidents last year where it all had to be reshuffled.
That's right.
And that's not fair to the teams. The sole clubs that find themselves down there, they need competition, they want competition, and it has to be honoured. So if teams have entered it, you'd very much hope that they'll stand by that and do it.
I think I'm right in last year that they ended up making one group out of the.
They had to.
Two teams, I think, pulled out with left only 6 teams in it, and they had to make a competition out of it as such, then just to get games. At the launch of the championship, we spoke to some of the players from those clubs, and I'm thinking of the Loughnane Valley, you know, chap that was representing the club. Name just eludes me now at the minute, but you know, we spoke about Loughnane Valley and how close they came to going under as such, which would have been the first time we lost a club in the county for a long, long time. But a lot of good, you know, hard, you know, true Loughnane Valley people out there, you know, rallied around and got it going, and they're hoping now to give this a good crack now this year as well. So it'll be nice to see one of those teams making the step back of same as Ballinagore did. Ballinagore, we remember, was a strong intermediate team, fell down, had to go the whole way back.
Indeed, they played senior. They won a junior and an intermediate within a couple of campaigns. It's quite some time ago. But look, Delvin were in the league final this year as well.
That's right, won a league final.
That'll put a pep in their step from the football. We know that it's a true jewel situation out there, and hurling is the priority, but they'll bring something to that competition. It's like I said, as long as the other entrants honour it and I know Kinnegad have been very good at that level. They win it a couple of years ago.
They're gone now.
They won it a couple of years ago. So they could, with the numbers they used to have, they could have had another team in that. I don't know if they're struggling with numbers a little bit this year. But yeah, fulfill the fixtures, show a bit of respect to the teams that are there, genuinely there, and if you've entered it, play it.
Played, yeah, exactly. I think Mullingar Shamrocks, looking at that, probably is the only team with a third team in it. I think Gary Castle, Thurles Pass, Colliery and Tubberclare would be their second string. Would I be right, Alan? What would you?
Yeah, no, that would be it. But listen, the good thing about this is that all the other senior teams are all playing before this competition starts. So they might lose a couple of players like Tubberclare, Gary Castle and Colliery and Thurles Pass. If anyone plays or comes on the senior team, they won't be allowed to play this competition. So you'd like to think St. Paul's would be the strongest team in it after coming down from Junior 1 last year. A little bit disappointing, but they have a lot of good footballing men out there. I know they'll be tied up with Brownstown hurling as well, but they've a lot of good footballing men out there. So you'd like to think they'll be one of the strong teams. Loughnane Valley, it's great to see them still fielding teams. I know they struggled a few years ago, but now they seem to be back, and they played the championship in Castletown last year and did quite a number of subs togged out and that. So it's great to see them back. And Delvin, I think Delvin winning this will come down to how well their hurlers do. If the hurlers are going really, really well, which they have the capabilities of doing, it'll probably affect this football. But if the hurler's not going too well, then the football might reap the benefits of that too.
Yeah, just I'm trying to jog my mind on going back to the launch of the championship, and I think it was a young Elif that was in from Loughnane Valley.
It would have been, yeah.
And he told a great story, and I think we captured it on the launch, and hopefully at some stage it'll reappear. But he was talking about, was it John Rowan? Sean Rowan. And Sean Rowan told him that he had played with 3 generations of Elifs. Mm-hmm. He played with Sean's father and Sean's grandfather.
Oh God.
So again, that takes some doing, and I suppose people like that are the backbone of these clubs.
That's what the GAA is all about.
And that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Incidentally, you mentioned Ballinagore. Is Tommy McDaniel back with Ballinagore this year? Now he's
Well,
Father Time may be catching up with him, but big addition.
He's in good shape.
Addition. I can just little story on that. I know some people involved in Dublin club football, and he was playing for Castleknock, and obviously on the same team as Kieran Kilkenny. And a fella in Dublin said to me, this is when he wasn't on the Westmeath panel. He said, he must have some team down there. He says, young lad I saw him play at Westmeath, man. I asked about him after the match. He scored 7 points from play. He was better than Kieran Kilkenny on the day, so that's how highly he was thought up there.
It's hard to believe that he didn't play more county football than he did.
Yeah.
Lovely football.
Like he was dropped off county football panel by previous managers. Now, maybe for legitimate reasons, but he wasn't a fella that would be going off and doing things that he shouldn't be doing. He'd be very much committed to the cause, and it's hard to believe they didn't play more than they did.
He'd be a massive
am I right in saying he got a very, very serious facial injury?
He did, yeah. He was out for 6-7 months. He broke his nose and his forehead.
It was a horrible collision.
But
he's a top class footballer. Still will be. He keeps himself in great shape. Down there, compared to Castleknock, down at that level and not being disingenuous, it's also about the supporting cast.
He can't do it.
I remember him kicking, and I get joy over Ray a little bit. I remember him kicking 13 points over in Castletown against Rocherbridge a number of years ago before he ever went to Dublin in a proper intermediate championship game. He's a top class player. It'd be a big deal for them.
Well, come here. We'll move on to the Junior 1 now, where we are talking about Ballinagore. Again, 2 groups in this, 6 teams in each group. We'll start with Section A. The fixtures coming up this weekend. St. Joseph's against Ballincarrigy. That's on Saturday evening in Moat at 5 o'clock. Bumbrusna versus Ballycamoyle, Saturday evening in Rocherbridge at 5 o'clock. Moat All Whites against Ballinagore on Sunday in Kilbeggan at 11 o'clock in the morning. In Section B, Coruscant Kinnegad versus St. Lomans is on Sunday in Kinnegad at 11 o'clock. Mullingar Shamrocks versus the Downs in the Downs on Sunday morning again at 11 o'clock. And the last game, Killucan versus Athlone again Sunday morning in Killucan at 11 o'clock. We'll go up to that very first game I called out there, St. Joseph's and Ballincarrigy. St. Joseph's beaten in the county final last year. Ballincarrigy relegated from intermediate. And Ballincarrigy, traditionally when they come back down, seem to recircle the wagons and give the championship a lash. So that could be a precursor for a county final. Any opinions on that? Am I too early in predicting that?
No, it's a big game for both of them. It sets a trend for the championship. And we've been speaking about this young St. Joseph's team for a couple of years. Their progression through the leagues. I think they came up 3 divisions in the league back-to-back years. They got to a county final last year. They'll be disappointed with their performance, but to get there, you know, it's a learning. Balnacargy were, their management were put in place fairly early for the year. They were back on the pitch in January. They had big numbers coming out. Now there's been a change in management in recent weeks, I believe, but yeah, Balnacargy have tons and tons of footballers, tons of footballers. It's all about trying to get them committed at the right time and peak at the right time, because they do lose a little bit of interest if you go too hard. But this time of the year, if they've been primed nicely, they'll be a proper junior side and be very, very competitive. But that could fizzle out very quickly either way. We know that.
Yeah.
But I think they'll really rattle this championship.
Yeah. This championship, lads, to me, it's a championship you almost have to win twice. And by that I mean that the junior clubs in that top section A have to play each other to get into a quarter final. And then, lo and behold, waiting for them is going to be a second string team. You know, and we've seen St. Lomas, you know, we've seen Mullingar Shamrocks, we've seen the Downs strong, Athlone strong as well. You know, and if they're lucky with injuries with their first team, they can remain strong to a knockout stage of a championship. And the junior teams, you know, go into that, you know, where they cross over and the top 4 play the top 4 of Section B. And then the championship really starts. But the first thing for those sole junior teams is to get into that top 4. So to me, it's a championship that almost like you have to win it twice.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, yeah. And it's funny, you're talking about St. Joseph and Balnacargy. I was writing these down earlier, and it struck me as a standout fixture in round 1, you know. But you can make arguments, you know, if the momentum is good from that, you know, it can carry forward to win the championship. And if you're unfortunate enough to pick up injuries, as you say, it can deflate you. So it's just so early in the day to be looking at a crystal ball at this stage, you know. But I take your point, Ray. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you know, Bunbrusna, again, hugely experienced side as well. You know, Ballycamoyle, you know, they'll be hoping to get, you know, a dual club issue there as well. Balnago have mentioned, you know, under Michael Ennis again for this year. I'm sure they'll be hoping to go one step further, certainly to go long into the knockout stages of it as well.
Look, the carrot is big. Any of those sole junior clubs that come through to intermediate will fancy themselves surviving an intermediate. Like, it's easier, we say it about the intermediate up to senior, it's easier almost to survive in the next level than it is to get there. So, look, they're all decent sides.
Yeah, well.
Bunbrusna, an aging side, but they've always shown that they can compete and control a game. I'd wonder would the new rules have a big effect on them in terms of how the game would be played, because they traditionally squeezed back and they suffocated teams and kept it tight down the middle, and they'll have less bodies to do that now, and maybe the legs are another year older and whatever, but yeah, it's going to be a good championship. It's always entertaining in the juniors.
Yeah, well, look, again, we know very little about form. You know, Balnagore, I think, did they win a league again this year?
Yeah.
I think maybe a second team got into a league final, I think. Yeah.
So listen, it's gonna us as a club, Malachy's, we play 3 of these clubs in the league, would you believe? And St. Joseph's were probably the best club that we've played out of 3 of them. They're very young. New rules will suit them in terms of moving the ball as quick as you can up the field. Whereas new rules probably wouldn't suit Bunbrusna. As Shane said, maybe we'll go against Bunbrusna, but then when it comes to the crunch end of the championship, experience does help a lot. And but like it'll all depend on what Balnacargy come out. Balnacargy can get their ship in order. They have a team that if they're in the bottom part of the intermediate section, you're merely saying, I think to beat one of the favourites a couple of years ago.
At Milton Pass in the first
Milton
round.
Pass in the first round.
The year Milton Pass went to a county final.
We won't bring that up.
No, okay.
No, we can bring it up, Ray.
No, we won't, Alan.
Beaten,
We won't bring it up.
No.
No, but like, Balnacargy beat Milton Pass in the first round of the championship that year, and really put Milton Pass in the back foot. And
they fizzled out. They actually, Finney got a result against them that suited Milton Pass to get out of the group and eventually got to the county final. So there isn't They're not that far away if they apply themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment, Shane. But look, that's
just one thing, Greg, before you go on. The job that Michael Ennis has done in Ballinagore
absolutely
has been unbelievable. Like, because they were coming from only having 8, 9, 10, 11 lads down training to now having a second team competing in a league final as well as their first team. So you'd have to commend him for the job that was done in that club.
Yeah, like, Alan, you know Michael Ennis better than most people, but I spoke to a Ballinagore player last year, met him in the shop on the way out of town one evening, and I was asking him about how they were going, and he said Michael Ennis is the catalyst. He said we'd have to be half dead not to play for him.
So that's it. So and look at Tommy McDaniels. I'm not too sure he'd be back. He might, because he had a really good year for Castleknock last year. They're going to be in the business end of the championship up in Dublin. Would he be back now if Michael Ennis wasn't?
Not as soon, I don't. He'd always said he'd go back to his club. He always said he'd come back.
Sure, because Michael Ennis is there and made that phone call, there's not too many lads that can say no to him.
Yeah. An interesting championship in
second teams are can't really talk about them because you don't know.
We don't know. Like,
only it's an indicator of how their senior team is going when we start to see a few games, because numbers wise it's a big thing. If you look at, I think, is Tuberclare in Junior 2 now?
They're in Junior 2.
Is it?
I think it's only
4 years ago Tuberclare's first team beat Lomans in a championship match in the last 10 minutes. When Lomans hadn't the bodies to bring on and Tuberclare brought them, I think it was COVID year, just 3 or 4 full seasons ago. They're now, we'll talk about them shortly, I'm sure, they're up the top end of the next, but they're introducing a team back into junior. That's massive progression.
Yeah.
You'd have to commend the county board for the way that this championship is run. To put the 6 teams in, the 6 sole junior teams in. I know Motor after sneaking in, but that's because of one team coming up and another team coming down or whatever. But you'd have to say that it's a really good idea to put the sole teams into one group and try and get 4 of them out at least against 2 of the second teams, which is a good idea. Yeah,
it's, as I said, it's a competitive championship, and Mullingar Shamrocks again have the numbers. Their field, that's their second team fielding in Junior 1, with their third team fielding in Junior 2. So credit to them as well. And as Shane said, hopefully they'll have the numbers to continue on in the Junior 2 to keep that competition honest and whatever else for the rest of the year. We'll look at these junior championships as the year progresses, and we get an idea more as games are played, who's in form, who's not. But Junior 1 and Junior 2 again, sponsored by our hosts here tonight, Clark's Bar here in Patrick. So a quick shout out to Kieran there again. Competition we look forward to as well. Moving on to the championship that none of us are going to be able to predict, and that's the intermediate championship. And I think we say that every year. Any team in this could win it. And Malachy shown 2 years ago on, and you can come out of Section B and win it. But we'll just go quickly through the fixtures. Starting in Section B, Castledaly versus Ballymore is on Friday at 7:15 in Athlone. Castletownfenay at Cool White Hall against Kilbeggan on Friday evening in Springfield. And then the third game of that group is on Monday evening. It's Milltown Pass versus Maryland, Monday evening in Milltown Rat Conrat at 7:15. And then Section A, Shandona. Again, a lovely draw here, this game. Shandona versus Milltown on Saturday in Ballymore at 5 o'clock. Tuberclare versus Rosemount on Saturday in Moat at 7 o'clock. And Multi versus St Mary's Rocher Bridge on Friday evening in Shandona at 7:15. Lads, we'll go into Section B here because, again, big teams in it. Castledaly, not that long ago, were a senior team. Here they are now, and it's what the fact of having, you're in Section A, you don't face the threat of a relegation, but now they're in Section B, and it would be, I think, a terrible thing if they were to go any further. But they're starting off then against Ballymore, who are never easy to play. Probably the pick of the games there in that Section B.
Yeah, it's not what you said. Castledaly, not that long since they were seniors, not that long since they were county champions. Well, 17 years, but relatively speaking, they're the last kind of outside team, other than the perennially strong teams, to win it out. So, certainly a come down for them. But, I was kind of marking out there earlier who I think will I don't know whether you want to go into this as early as tonight, but like I would be very hopeful that they will get out of Section B, two teams to get out of it. But nothing simple about that first match against Ballymore. But you know, the drop has been steep, but I wouldn't see them dropping any further personally.
Yeah, Alan, have you come across them in the league? Or what league they played in this year?
They were probably, like we played, I didn't play myself against Kinnegad, but I played against Castledaly, and they were the best team that I played against this year in Division 3. I thought they were really, really good, well organised, very physical, which they are anyway. And you need, to win an intermediate championship, you have to be very physical. If you're not, there is some teams in Division 2 part of the senior championship that won't win the intermediate, because they're not physical enough, and they're not, when it comes to the crunch, you need to be at it both physically and mentally towards the end of the season. And that's one thing that I felt with Castledaly that night that we played them. They were really, really fit, really physical. They had good numbers out, which they haven't had for the last number of years. But I thought they were really, really good. And as Gerry said, I've them marked down to come out of this group. We also, the other team that I've marked to come out of this group possibly is Milltown Pass. But a lot will hinge on whether they will have Sam Duncan back or not. He's away at present. Whether he might be back, I don't know. But he is pivotal to everything that Milltown Pass did. And to be honest, if I was managing Westmeath senior footballers, he'd be one of the first phone calls I'd make out there. We've 3 or 4 lads out in Australia that we need to get back to make that team, to make the county team better, never mind the club team. So he'd be an awful loss to Milltown Pass if they don't have him.
Yeah,
Shane could tell us whether he's coming home.
Well, he's
I couldn't, Alan. I'm not involved in it at all. And you know, I travel for my job and never around. He's not in Ireland at the moment. Whether he's coming home or not, I don't know. There's rumours that he will be, but Milltown Pass can't be looking at
somebody that's
Sam Duncan possibly coming home from Australia to define their championship season. God forbid, it could be like when Finbar Coyne came back from an injury. Things were going well, Milltown Pass was going super, and Finbar picked up another injury, missed the whole season again. You can't, be a massive boost. If Milltown Pass can navigate this group without Sam, it puts them in a better position for a quarter final because you have more players contributing. You're not hinging it around them. I'd love to see him back, of course, for the club and for the county, but look, that junior, the bottom half of the intermediate, is so dangerous. You can't lose a game. You just can't lose a game because you might not get out of the group on a head-to-head or something like that.
Yeah.
And if you lose 2 games, you're then flirting with relegation.
the trap
So
door.
you have to be on
rattle.
point. You have to be on point from next weekend until the end of the championship.
The first game in the bottom groups, not so much the top groups, but in the bottom groups, the first game is vital. You win your first game, your eye is on promotion. You lose your first game, your eye then is to make
Looking
sure
over
you're
your
not
shoulder.
relegated.
Yeah.
And like we have, like there's Castledaly playing Ballymore, like they're close enough to one another to think to be small rivals. Milltown Pass and Maryland. Okay, Maryland would probably haven't been going as well as Milltown Pass.
It's
over
the
the last
David Martin dynamic there as well.
Yeah.
He's playing against his own club. It's not the first time they've done it.
And then you finish against Kebegan.
Yeah.
Like the winner of that game will be saying, do you know what, we have a chance of getting out of
They've
this
played
group.
each other in county
But the
junior
loser
finals.
of that game then
Yeah.
is looking at the rest of the 3 clubs and going, Jesus, who
Yeah.
can we beat here to make sure we stay up?
Yeah, because it's a steep fall. You know, to go from
it's very
intermediate to go back to junior, and I'm going to say it again. None of us will pick a winner of this championship. I guarantee you, we could pick.
No, but you can pick
4
teams that are
different
going to
teams.
come out of the group.
Yeah.
Like, put
Yeah.
Shane on the spot there now. He'd be.
But Shane is going to not say Milltown Pass because
I will.
he doesn't believe
I'll
in
be
it.
terribly disappointed if Milltown Pass don't get out of that group. I think from what I know, they've put in a couple of really good blocks of work this year that maybe heads are in a better space. You know, the disappointment of losing 4 finals in 6 years would have been a real kick in the belly for a lot of them. But these lads have the appetite back. I know the new rules levels the playing field for a lot of people because there's a whole new approach to coaching and how you play the game. There's a huge amount of fitness needed to play this new game of football that we have. And I'm sure everybody's doing the work, but Milltown Pass are not leaving any stones unturned. They're working hard. They're looking forward to it. this night week, and look, things go against you in a season like the county footballers. They looked so good for a lot of times, didn't get the results. But if you do the right things and do them properly, which they have, I believe they have. I have a young lad that can be down training with that group on occasions. He loves it. The dynamic is good. So yeah, my heart is saying Milton Pass get out of there, and my football head says Milton Pass should get out of that group.
Yeah, and you know, Alan mentioned, or someone that mentioned Luke Loughlin, and that Milton Pass are going to look, I'm sure, very much at Brandon Kelly. The new rules should really suit him. You know, he's old as pace.
You would hope so.
You'd hope so. And he should be able to capitalise, get a quick ball up front to him.
But these new rules only suit these lads if the ball is moved quickly.
Yeah.
If the ball is not moved quickly, well then these new rules, you might as well have the same as, I know you've only 3, but you have 3 less players attacking them as well. So you can still form a mass defence around that top of the arc and just inside the arc if you get lads back quick enough. But if the ball is moved, the ball will travel an awful lot quicker than any man. So if they move the ball quickly up, it'll suit Brandon Kelly.
Yeah.
But if they slow it down and they take 3 or 4 hand passes, well then that cuts out the quick ball going in. And then Brandon Kelly is fighting a battle like he fought the last 4 or 5 years, with lots of lads sitting back in front of him, and the minute he gets his hands in it, he's been tackled by 2 or 3 lads. I don't know how Finbar Coyne is. Is he back playing a bit? Or
Yeah, Finbar's playing football.
He'll be a big asset because that's a big man, the full forward line. He's both.
No, we should talk about the other teams for a little while.
But he'll be good. He'll be good in the air. He'll be good on the ground. He's good hands. He's good feet. The rules will suit him now, but they have to move the ball quickly.
And I think he'll put himself in the shop window again for county football if he's interested. It's the one good thing that's come out of Westmeath finishing up 7 weeks ago, is that all these club managers have had their squads back to prepare for an unknown game to a degree. They were playing in the league, but not with full squads. They didn't have enough time on the coaching pitch to get these things right. They've seen a lot of the game played now at county level, what works, there are different tactics, the running game, the kick and take game, whatever. So I'm excited about the club football because there has been that gap, to see how creative coaches will be with how they structure their 3 men up front, what way they look to move the ball, and particularly the kickouts. The kickouts are going to be so much fun from a spectator's perspective, but so important to the outcome of games.
Yeah.
So
more and more pressure on the goalkeeper now.
And you need to be an animal out in the middle of the pitch for breaking ball. And you'll get the odd exceptional player in the air, but even the best of footballers in the air might catch 5 or 7 balls in a game. You have to be a scavenger to get this breaking ball and then know how to move it.
But
the solo and goal, when you use the solo and goal.
If you have a goalkeeper that can hit every one of his kick-outs,
his targets
every time, and there's a man sitting around the table with us who's quite good at that. So, you know,
statistically the best in the county last year, I believe.
I believe that, yeah. But anyway, that was you, Gerry.
You call me yourself.
Just to say, incidentally, Alan said, I have Milltown Pass, I have a tick beside people, teams I expect to get out. I have Milltown Pass ticked here as well. And to follow on your point about Sam Duncan, you know, I suppose young lads have to travel and see the world, but we mentioned earlier about Kildare and Ray Canellan going off, and wouldn't we love to have somebody there? You know, we would have won that game if Ray Canellan was able to hang on. Wouldn't you love a Sam Duncan back there in midfield? So we wish him well and hope he returns.
He might even be listening to us. The other game in that group, you know, Castletownfene, Coolwhite Hall, winning, you know, going down the year before last, came up then last year, you know, gave, I suppose, poor St. Joseph's a lesson on a terrible windy day in a county final last year. They're back up again, a little bit unknown because you have the whole issue with the football around them between Ringtown and Castlepollard out there. But they start off against Kilbeggan. Kilbeggan, you know, I suppose for the first 2 years coming back up into that intermediate championship would be happy to consolidate. Now they'll be looking to go on and, you know, as you said yourself, Alan, 2 points here now in the opening game with Kilbeggan are looking upwards.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever wins that game is going to be saying to themselves, right, if we can turn over 2 more of these teams, we're going to get out of scrutiny. And that's what they have to look at. Like, if you look at it, you can say that Milltown Pass and Castledaly on paper are probably slightly ahead of the other 4. But as we saw last year, Ballynacarrigy beat Milltown Pass in the first round of the championship. So there's nothing to say that something like that won't happen again to one of the two so-called stronger teams. And if that happens, then it opens up this whole group. And with 2 coming out, it's very tight. You can't afford to lose. If you lose 2 matches, you're more or less going out of the championship. And then you're looking down and you're saying, geez, I need to, because there's no, if you look at the Offaly hurlers 5 or 6 years ago, or maybe 7 years ago, was it? Like, they probably thought they were too good to go down to the Joe McCullough, and then they thought they were too good to go down to the Christie Ring, and they ended up down there. So no matter who you are,
it can happen.
If you get into a slippery slope, it's like getting on a winning streak. A losing streak and a winning streak are very similar. If you get on a losing streak, it's very hard to get over it. The other thing about it is, if you get on a winning streak and you win 2 or 3 games in a row, you're going in with your tails up, regardless how well you're playing. We won the intermediate championship in 2013. We bet Milton Pass in the semi-final of that championship. We should have been bet 5 times throughout the whole year. I think we won 6 games in a row by a point or 2. Because we just ground out a victory. If you can get yourself into the mindset of winning games, no more than Westmeath did this year, unfortunately. They probably were coming towards the end of that Wicklow match, probably thinking, geez, we're after losing 5 or 6 of these this year, and that didn't help them. But if they had 2 points either way for 5 or 6 of those matches, they were winning these games, and they definitely beat Wicklow in tight matches.
Just a point on it, Ray, and the senior championship, the same structure. We know that. We know that there are proposals on the table for restructuring of our championships, because there's a certain amount of opinion that there are games without jeopardy. And there certainly are up in the top group. At the early stages, everything's not as critical. But I'd be an advocate for the championship structures we have, because it provides the maximum number of games that we can give our club players. That'd be my first thing. You know, we have to give games to players. But the bottom half of the intermediate and the bottom half of the senior are so entertaining. And there is so much on the line in every single game. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant championship.
Before I just move on out of section B, 2 things we probably haven't really mentioned, Ballymore and Maryland. And again, you know, Ballymore, maybe the dual club issue as well there, but Ballymore are, you know, they're a proud club as well, and you know they'll fancy taking on Castledale, and you know, repeating ourselves, they get 2 points there, they can be dangerous moving forward as well.
But the players, they have McCabe's, a couple of McCabe's, they have Maxwell, lads that can really cause teams a lot of trouble. I don't know if Gilly is back playing or not.
He is.
He's back playing. He's a really, really good player. Like John Gilligan, there's not a team in the county, both senior and intermediate, that wouldn't like a John Gilligan with them. Because you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to cut you in 2 if he has to cut you in 2, and he can play ball as well. And he's a really, really good player. So the likes of Maryland and Ballymore, if they get a good start against either of these 2 teams at the weekend, they really need to keep themselves, like no more than Tipperary yesterday. Liam Catt says all we wanted to do was be within 5 or 6 points of them at half time. We were within 6, and look what they did in the second half. These teams are going to think the same. Maybe like 6 points now, a 6 point lead in football now is not near as big as it was this time 2 years ago.
Absolutely not.
With the whole 2 point.
They're going to go in at half time hoping, right, stay within touching distance and hope to push on.
Well, Maryland have Kieran Martin, and you can't ignore that Kieran Martin's after doing another full year of county level training. He will be in great shape. He's after having a bit of recovery time in those 7 weeks. The score he kicked inside in Cusick Park against Roscommon at the end of the game, and like he leapt off the ground like a young fella. And he'll be a massive threat in that group for the boot that he has from distance, and he can play it inside or can play it outside. He doesn't have to cover the mileage that he might have had to do in years gone by, but he can influence the game massively with 3 kicks. Like 3 kicks is 6 points. It's massive. So he's a real danger man there. We talk about them Ballymore all the time. Ballymore have been at this level for a long, long time. Like, when is the last time that they were during? They know how to survive. They know how to get a result. They turned over Castledale a couple of years ago in the Intermediate Championship. It was a big, big fright for Castledale. They knew how to manage them. So yeah, the great fixtures in it. Brilliant fixtures in it.
Absolutely.
Show me age here now and say, we're talking about, I remember Ballymore in the senior final in 1965. 2 boys weren't born here. They lost that loan on a wet day in Cusick Park. Lost that loan in the senior final.
Shane was born.
Pardon? 6 years
No,
ago.
but people were looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gerry, we leave it at that.
Well, it did happen. Believe
It
me.
did happen. Yeah,
It did
no,
happen.
no.
I don't care who was born. I was born.
You remember.
I remember.
You're the stats man, Gerry. Section A of the Intermediate Championship. Again, 3 great games in store here. Shandona and Milltown is on Saturday in Ballymore at 5 o'clock. Tubberclare and Rosemount Saturday in Moat at 7 o'clock. And Multi and St Mary's on Friday evening in Shandona, 7:15. Again, the top draw. It's amazing the way that some of these draws showing up. Shandona relegated. Went to the last game, went to a playoff, beaten by a point in that game to be relegated. Milltown beaten in the county final. Like, again, that's a big game to start that Section A as well.
It's a wonderful group, Ray. I'd be interested to see how Gerry or Alan have put the little ticks beside. I know 4 out of 6 come out, but it's still quite unpredictable. First thing I'd say, from Milltown perspective, they've lost Conor Dillon, unfortunately.
Yeah,
And
a huge
he's
loss to
a
them.
massive loss to them from that injury he picked up with the county at the end of And I wish him luck. I wish him luck in his recovery and to come back. But he's a big loss for them. But that's not to say that they still can't contend in this championship and cause lots of problems. But it's just a shout out to Conor. He's a great young lad. He was really establishing himself
He had a
this
great
year.
year with the county footballers.
Yeah, and
he was.
it's just disappointing.
Very last minute of the game in Newbury against Kildare, and
I didn't know that. No.
I think it was overshadowed on the fact that the final whistle had blown at the time, and no one was aware of the injury. And he was a young fella that could have made the difference in those tight games as we went.
He really established
in the
himself as a
Tailteann Cup.
county footballer this year.
Absolutely.
It's heartbreaking.
From us all here on the podcast, Conor, if you're listening, the best luck with your recovery, and we hope to see you back on the field very shortly. Milltown knocking around in the latter stage of the championship to have the 2 big men in the middle of the
Two
field.
Murtals, yeah.
2 Murtals. But Shandona will have regrouped as well, Shane. I know you've been a critic of theirs in times gone by, but they'll be hoping
I don't know if I was critical or setting expectations, maybe that I was wrong, but they're going to be very dangerous, very hungry to get back to senior. They have a lot of young players that have come through some really good minor teams in recent years that are reaching an age now. Ray Sheridan is over there with them, he's so detailed and methodical, and I know those 7 weeks that he's had between the county finishing up, and they don't have a lot of guys in the county senior panel, but Danny Scahill is there, and when those lads return to teams, they lift the level of training and the focus. So Ray would be very thorough. There'll be nothing less than a title would be acceptable for him, and if they row in behind him, they're going to be extremely hard to turn over.
Well, I'd put my neck in the block. Shane asked who I've ticked, and it's actually a tribute to Conor Dillon in a way, is that we've 6 and I've 4 ticks. I left out Milltown because I think he's that valuable to Milltown. So I put my neck in the block. I have Multi, Rosemount, Tubberclare and Shandona are the 4 ticks I have.
Okay.
Now, I could be badly wrong, but
The big thing there, though, Gerry, is that St Mary's have a change of manager and Damien Gavin is in. No more than the Michael Ennis situation with Ballagore. If these lads don't put the shoulder to the wheel for Damien Gavin, I'd be very surprised. He is a folk hero amongst a lot of people out in Rushbridge.
And he's no nonsense as well. This is work.
Exactly.
This is
And he has done a great job with Westmeath. If you look at the under 20 teams that he was involved, all them under 20 teams were the backbone of that senior team this year. All of them. All them lads that played senior football, apart from the couple of lads from Dublin, all them came through his hands at under 20 level with Westmeath. So he knows what he's on about. He's a really good fella. He's a nice fella, but when it comes to football, he's a very serious man. And if he doesn't get a twist out of Rushbridge, I'd be very surprised. So I know you ticked Milltown, Multi-Farnham, but if Multi-Farnham don't get off to a win this weekend against St Mary's, they're going to back foot straight away. And the likes of St Mary's having 2 points over them is going to be, and then if you bring in the head-to-head as well, when it comes down to landing the same amount of points, head-to-head is going to be very very, very serious when it comes to this group here, because I think if you look at this group, nearly every team can beat every team.
Yeah,
I have enormous admiration for Jamie and Gavin too. Enormous admiration. Know them a long time, but like I looked at this, and you could take any of the four. You could put
I'm not
6
giving
down
out to you,
there.
Gerry.
I know you're not. But I had to go for 4, and there were very tight calls on it.
I to be honest, I would have had Milltown coming out of the group myself as well, but after the news how highly I hold Conor Dillon in as a footballer, they'll get hard to come out of this group without him. He is.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If you look at the semi-final last year and the 2 finals, he was the one that drove them forward all the time. Every time he gets his hands on the ball, there's no such thing as going back at him. He wants to go that way with the ball, especially with them rules last year where you can get lads back. He wanted to break lines early, and he'd be a nightmare. He was a nightmare for a wing forward to be marking, because you just realise I'm going to spend more time defending this lad than I am attacking him. And I'm very sorry to hear that now, because he'd be a big loss to this Milltown team.
Yeah, if you look at, I totally agree, Alan. If you look at multi, and you look at Ronan Wallace's performances last year at club level, at intermediate, like there are very good players around him, but he's a different quality. He's a different level and different. He drove them to a county semi-final last year, was it? Yeah, county semi-final.
I could be wrong now, though, but I don't think he's around for this game this weekend.
That's the question.
I think he is in New Zealand, or he's in Australia for the Lions tour.
And that's a big thing for multi.
Yeah.
Multi could go on a slide pretty quickly without a leader like that. They have young Matthew Thornton that was.
Yeah,
I think he qualifies to play adult this year.
He does this year, yeah.
And
he's 19.
But he can't shoulder the team on his own. He does set standards. Believe it or not, a young man like that demands a huge amount about the people around him. But they really need Ronan Wallace for their campaign. Roger Bridge, Damien will get the absolute most that's in that group. I'm just not sure if there's enough equality in enough of spots for them to trouble teams regularly enough. Yeah. They will get results, and it won't be from the want of hard work and honesty and pride in the jersey and all the things that Damien Gavin demands first of all before he can bring you to another level as a footballer. That's a given. You do not give your best. It's, you know, that we spoke about it before. This all the stuff that takes no talent, that will be there. The question is, can he develop them as a group with a game plan that's strong enough to navigate? If they were in the bottom group, I'd be giving them a right good twist to get a quarter final, believe it or not, out of 2 places.
Yeah.
But in that 4, they have to.
Yeah. And they're the 2 that came out of the section B last year. I think Monty beaten in a quarter semi on penalties. Beaten on penalties from.
They got to semi-final.
Yeah.
Beaten.
Yeah. Just it goes without saying.
Yeah.
The tick here for multi is take Ronan Wallace out of it, and tick is gone.
That third game, again, it's going to be a cracker. Toverclare and Rosemount. Toverclare, you know, we all felt they should have been maybe going closer over the last couple of years. But I think it's fair to say in this year's intermediate championship, Garrycastle had come down last year and were always favoured to go back up. I don't know whether Shandona as the relegated team would, you know, have that aura about them that, you know, we kind of would have been easy to pick Garrycastle to win it last year. I think any one of those teams, any one of them can win that this year.
Good thing going for Shandona is, though, they played senior championship last year and were competitive in a lot of matches, to be fair to them, but they also played Division 1 football, league football this year.
Yeah. No,
and that'll stand to them, regardless. And Ray coming in, Ray was with Turles Pass for the last few years. Ray would be very, as Shane said, he'd be very organised. If he gets the best out of these lads, they'll be very, very hard beaten in the championship. But they need to get the best out of themselves. Anything under 85% won't be good enough to win this because it's so tight.
Yeah, look. Toverclare
Rosemount.
Toverclare are doing everything right since the very beginning of the year. Alan and I know a couple of lads down there. I played against their Division 5 team earlier in the year, and they had players on that Division 5 team that they had would have competed in Division 3. So they have huge numbers. Everybody has rolled into this. I know that in January they were doing 5 days a week. They were doing the type of thing that a senior team expecting to compete in Leinster would be at, because this could be the big drive that they need to get back to senior, because they've a lot of good quality young lads coming out of those 3 minor final teams.
Yeah.
And the ambition would be that they would never play intermediate, those young lads, that they would be playing senior football. And there's a big drive down there. I'm not trying to put the blight on them, but you can't take your eye off them. They're as serious as it gets.
They've two inter-county senior players on that team.
And they'll be massive.
You know, Owen McCabe, you mentioned Matthew Vinegar.
And the only thing that worry about me about what Shane's at saying there, like they were doing 5 nights a week in January and February. Like, that's how hungry can you keep them lads?
I think it was more to do with...
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is, if you have a club team out doing 5 nights a week in January, how hungry can you keep them the whole way to October?
They're under new management.
If they see the results in the first couple of games, it won't be a question. And they've seen results in their league. They've got promoted in their league. They're up in Division 1. So I think it's just a collective club drive. They do a lot of things well down there, and it was a collective group of men.
They're a really good club and well-run club, and they're a really good side. But it's all about getting across the line for these
Matthew
guys.
Whitaker could be the big difference in this championship. He could be the huge difference in this championship. He was only on the back of an injury last year. We saw a fit, fresh Matthew Whitaker with a Westmeath jersey on him this year.
What was the injury though that kept him out of the Wicklow match?
Not sure.
That I don't
know.
I don't know.
No, he was a huge loss.
He's missing. He's like John Hessler missing, or Luke Loughlin missing for the Downs and Omens.
And they're a side, I think, like they kicked 19 points against Milton Pass 2 years ago over in Killucan in an intermediate championship match. They've a lot of really good kickers. Off those 19 scores that they got, I'd imagine 11 of those would now qualify as 2-pointers. They kicked from range all over the place. Yeah. That could be lethal. That could be the tool in their box that gets them. They're so dangerous that way. So look, they're my championship favourites, to be honest.
The big problem I have with this 2 points, it's only a little gripe I have with it, is that teams that think they're good will try shoe it too many times. There's a time and a place to go for a 2-pointer, and it's not all the time. Like if you get a ball and you're under pressure, being under pressure shooting for a 2-pointer is not a 2-point.
No,
chance.
but if you have to protect against so many potential kickers, the space in behind.
Say Owen McCabe, for instance, he must have took 9 or 10 shots for Westmeath this year for 2-pointers that weren't on. They were never on, and it was a turnover, dropping short, turnover, and we're on the back foot straight away. You have to make sure when you're going for these 2-pointers, if you don't score, it's at least gone dead. You put that goalie under pressure from getting that ball off the tee. Like, if you saw, like I couldn't believe for the first 10 minutes of the All-Ireland semi-final of Donegal and Meath. Yeah. I couldn't believe Donegal let the Meath goalie just tap the ball to the cornerback. Like, the big thing, and obviously it was set by Jimmy McGuinness. The first 5 or 6 kickouts were going to let him, and then they put a massive press on.
I was like teasing him almost.
Yeah, you're just saying, right, he's not on his own now, so we'll put pressure on him. And they turned him over about 5 times for then and a half time.
Yeah, touch wood. That's why I touched, because I was just about to make that point about Meath. That caught Meath, whatever small chance Meath had in that game, taking most untypically aimless 2-pointers, deflating them.
But if you profile, and this is why I'm putting the favourite tags on Double Clear, and some of them will message me and give out to me for doing it, but if you profile the team to play these new rules, first of all, you have a former county goalie, and believe it or not, he played Division 5 football against me, so himself and his brother, Kevin Fagan and Simon is the brother, they're 2 quality goalies that will perform. I know Kevin has had a few blips here and there, but he's got a great boot on him. And he can go short, he can go long, he can go medium. Physically very big side around the middle of the field. They've great youth and energy. Then you look at some of their distance range kickers, and you've somebody connected all like Whitaker. they profile perfectly for the rules that are going to be played for the first time in this championship. Where do you put out the fires? As an intermediate side competing against that, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and they might get caught once, but once won't be enough to stop a team in that top group from winning the championship. They have to be beaten twice, at least. You know, that's why.
Unless you're betting the semi-final, Shane.
Why?
Unless you're betting the semi-final, you can bet once and you're gone.
That's
the
true.
thing.
You're
That's the
true.
thing about a young, youthful side that are. That's what I'm saying about when it comes to the end of the championship. You need to be battle hardened. You need look at Lomans. Lomans are battle hardened. They just know how to get across the line. Like arguably, the Downs should have won both county finals last year, but they didn't because Lomans were battle hardened. In terms of this intermediates, it's going to come down. Regardless, as says, you're going to be playing this county final in dull, dark,
October.
probably wet, dirty day, and you have to get down and dirty. And it's the team at intermediate level, it's the team that gets down and dirty the best will win this championship.
Rosemount, give them any hope against Tuberclare? How do you think they'll go
They have
through
a lot
that
of
group?
injuries. I do know that. They have a lot of injuries. They have a load of lads out, which is going to go against them, especially against Tuberclare. But if you're going to be missing 6 or 7 lads, the very best time to play Tuberclare is in the first game, and just get out of the way because you'll have a real good chance. They'll all have a chance of beating one another if they're all at the top of their game. You wouldn't be surprised if Rosemount had no injuries. You wouldn't be surprised to see Rosemount winning that game, either of them winning that game, either of them win the second game, and either of them win the third game. Like it's wide up.
Oh, it's great. It's a great
It's a
championship.
great championship, you know, and again, it's so hard to pick the winner of it. Intermediate championship sponsored by Shane Murton, of course, again for this year. So, you know, 12 teams starting out in that, they'll all have aspirations, and we won't know until October how she pans out. Lads, we'll move on to the senior championship, and again, 2 sections, same format, 2 out of the section B to go to a knockout and 4 at the top. We'll start with the games coming up in section B. Alan, out on Saturday against Tang, so Tang versus St Malachy's on Saturday evening at 7 o'clock in Ballymore. Colliery versus Killucan, Friday at 7:15, I think it's in Ballycarrigy. And I'd say it'll be interesting to this one, Gary Castle versus Moathall Whites, Friday evening in Tuberclare. 2 to come out of that section. I suppose again, I mentioned them already as being favourites to win last year's intermediate championship, which they duly did. Are they favourites to come out of section B this year, and that's Gary Castle?
I don't know who wants to answer that. Look, they got to a league final, the
did.
Division 1 league final, which suggests that their playing panel, who have they in with the county seniors? I don't think of any. No. And that is not to say that there wasn't quality there, but they're a group of players now. They know how good they are with the group that they've had all year to prepare. I don't know what I have them favourites to come out, to be honest. Again, they're very hard to beat. I'm looking at teams like Colliery and Killucan, who are also fielding junior sides, tells you about the health of the squad sizes there. And squad size is massive in this championship. You can't pick up knocks, as Alan mentioned about Rosemount having a few injuries. You need to be able to replace like for like, and with the amount of running that the middle 8 are doing now, in whether it's a kick game or it's a running game, there's quite a bit more work happening in the middle of the field. So substitutions have to happen earlier, and there have to be more of them. You know, one of the things that the FRC had considered was increasing the number of subs, or the roll in and roll off, because they know the demands that are on senior footballers here. So I'd be looking at Colliery and Killucan as being in really healthy places with their squads. I look at Tang and St Malachy's. Like, Tang came up from intermediate. They managed to get themselves promoted out of that bottom group before, the first time they did it. We were saying, you know, great result the first day, wow, they did it again. We kind of had them written off. I think St Malachy's, it wouldn't be fair to talk too much to Alan, but they're a group of guys that have, you know, a lot of them compete at the top level at hurling. They're a community out there that are really invested in the proper structures, the new gym and everything that they've out there. St Malachy's can play football and they'll mix it. You know, Alan talks about having the bit of toughness about you. So can Colliery Calucan, Gary Castle, Moat, can they meet maybe the physical stuff that a Tang or St. Malachy's might bring to them? It's hard to predict. It's hard to predict. I wouldn't say there's anyone a red hot favourite to come out of that group, Ray.
Yeah. Moat Whites beat Shandona by the narrowest of margins. I think Shandona turned them over in the last group game, which meant we had the relegation playoff, and it came down to a controversial score at the very end of it for Moat just to retain senior status by 1 point. Moat are under new management this year, so Val Daly from Galway has gone in with them. So, with that kind of pedigree coming in to train them, I would expect that they're hoping at least not to be in the same predicament as they were in last year.
Well, Val Daly, was Moat connection. He played for Carmelite. And I would also say, we're talking there beforehand about Ogie Moran playing college's football. Val Daly was the best centre half back I ever saw in college's football, ever. And I've seen a lot of college's football. They won the All-Ireland in 1980, and he gave an exhibition in Croke Park against Patrick Smahara, and John Maughan was in that team.
Was he still in school at the time, Gerry?
Pardon?
Was he still in school at the time?
Is that a dig at the way Moat used to
I don't know,
operate?
I'm just saying.
Well, I don't know. I won't get into that.
No, absolutely, of course he was.
So he was. But I actually just, in that relation to that particular match, obviously they're investing in getting a man of that status, a man who's inter-county experience behind him. But I was very impressed with Gary Castle. I saw them in the league final against Carlstown Kinnegad. I'd kind of felt when they went down, while again kind of more or less expecting them to get back up straight away, that there might be suddenly become a kind of a run-of-the-mill senior team. But it was very impressive in that match. You saw James Dolan again, and you're kind of looking at a fellow like that, and I know his father time again and everything else, but you still do a job with the county, I was very impressed with them that day, and I put a tick beside them to win that match and to be one of the two to go forward. But again, it's a lottery.
Yeah.
But I was very impressed with him that day.
Doug, Alan spoke about Brandon Kelly for us and other similar players. Robbie Ford could be very influential. Could be. Depends how he's deployed. He has a good boot on him. Takes plenty of frees. He does have that kick from distance. He's also very classy when he's carrying the ball, and he has a bit of pace about him. So getting the most out of Robbie Ford will have a big influence on their year. They're quite big around the middle of the field, and they'll be scrappy for breaking ball. Again, it's very hard to judge because of what we're going to see. I'm really interested to see how coaches approach this. And we even saw it at inter-county level. Things changed after a number of weeks, and how they were deploying midfielders, how they were grouping, bunching guys together as opposed to trying to find space. There was no short kickouts anywhere for the first 8 rounds of football that we watched this year. Now it's a real tactic, either by the defending side to allow that and squeeze it into the corner, and knowing that they can't go back to the keeper, and can they tie them into a part of the play. So it'd be great fun to watch it. That bottom side of the bottom half of the senior, again, it's like the intermediate. The first round is a big deal. There is a jeopardy. They're all capable of beating each other. Tough one to call. If you call Gary Castle and they come out, you're a genius, and it's easier to say I'm not sure. So I'm not sure.
Colliery, another side now that it came down they came out of Section A last year, would have been a disappointing year for Pat Flanagan. But he's there with them again this year, and they'll fancy getting one of those 2 positions now and getting back into a quarter final. And again, a team with plenty of youth and plenty of experience. I'm sure Kevin Maguire is still playing club football. They've plenty of talent. The 2 Bakers, we look forward to seeing whether, Tig, we got glimpses of him with the 20s, and then with the senior squad, Shannon back playing with them as well. So
I think Shannon's in America. I'm not too sure. He's at home for this weekend. He's playing football out with Donegal out in New York, or out is he going to Boston, I think? So he definitely won't be home for this weekend unless he's only on a 30-day contract, and I don't think there's such thing as a 30-day contract, so I presume he's missing for this weekend. And going into this game this weekend without him, he's going to be a big loss. Colliery or Calucan are a very battle-hardened. If you're talking about battle-hardened teams, balls to hit the ground, there's not too many teams that allow muscle them boys.
Calucan won their Division 2 league final as well. They've moved it. They operated out of Division 3 for a long time, and then fielded senior teams when they got hurling personnel backing
yeah.
them. But they're in a different space now. There's a real football-centric community in Killucan again, which there would have been years ago. Yes, you have Raharney and they contribute to the team, but there's a lot of football-only people out there, and those numbers have built over the last 20 years. Like I said, they're feeling a junior now. Terribly difficult team to beat in championship. They've proven it over and over again. They've gotten to quarterfinals and semi. They've put up really, really strong performances against potential county champions.
And they have a fella playing full back for them that will get the better of whoever he picks up, and that's Sam Smith. He is going to be. I rang. It was only last year we played him in the first round of the championship. I rang John Kane after the match. I said, I don't know who their number 3 was. And then he told me his name, and I've obviously heard his name, but I didn't see him. But I said their full back today was outstanding.
Well, your manager should have told you his name before that game last year, whoever your manager
Well,
is.
there was no point in him telling me. I couldn't have been any further away from him. But he is going to be our new Kevin Maguire.
Yeah, I was a fan of his for years, and I was thrilled this year when he settled into the team. I was a fan of his for years, and I think, like Alan, I think this is going to be a serious full-back.
And then they have good forwards. Like did they win 2 minors in a row, or they were definitely in 2 minor county finals in a row. They have Devin Hill there, who is on his day. There's not too many lads that get the better of him.
Sammy Clark.
Sam Clark, exactly.
Sammy Clark,
He's a really good player.
Very classy, and a bit more space now will suit him.
And probably more well known for hurling is Eamon Kineen. He's a really good footballer as well. So in them 3, there are 3 forwards that can get on the score sheet.
Oh, there'll be.
Now, I'm going to tell you, there's not too many clubs that have 3 forwards that'll get on the score sheet in every game. But they definitely have 3 lads that'll get on the score sheet in every game. And they'll be hard beaten. And without sending Baker this weekend, Collery will have it. They'll find it very hard to beat Kilkenny.
You mentioned Tyke Baker. I was very impressed with Tyke Baker as captain of the under-20s. Showed a lot of leadership in tight matches. Player for the future.
Yeah.
A player for now, Gerry.
But
player for now.
No,
he's
I'm
at
talking
that age.
I'm talking senior.
Oh yeah, he will be at that next level.
He's not senior into county now, but senior into county player for the future.
He's the one fella now that you look at paper and you say, like he's the cut of his outlet. Like his outlet back in the day with Clare would have went through a wall. Shannon Baker will do the same thing. I saw him getting badly injured against Monaghan in that under-20 All-Ireland B final, and he battled the whole way through. He was barely able to walk after the match, but he never let up once for the whole hour and 20 minutes or whatever it was that they played up there, and he is a very good player.
You mentioned Kevin Maguire, and this is something I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks. We had quite a few lads move away from that top tier football last year. They've retired from inter-county scene or gone travelling. But I'm really interested to see those guys, like a John Heslin or a Kevin Maguire, with this freshness in them, where they haven't had the hard slog since November. They will play the game because they love it. They'll set high standards for themselves. And I think as much as we look at the new county senior footballers coming through and being excellent in the Westmeath jersey in lots of ways this year, they'll be expected to lead their teams and be the new leaders. But these guys won't hand over the leadership of their own clubs to anyone too easily. So they'll set high performances. So, I look at to see how those guys are going to influence a county or a club championship now, with a freshness in them and no niggles and no sore bodies after a campaign.
And have played a full league campaign with their clubs and whatever else.
And I know life has changed. I think John Heslin did he get married recently? Or I think he had a stag party anyway.
Not yet.
Other things are going on in their lives, but they've time to balance it all now, and they're not going in carrying niggles. These guys are still fantastic footballers, and they'll have an influence on how their teams perform.
Collery are going to be an instrument. There's a bit of pressure on Pat Flanagan, who has a fantastic track record at club level. Fantastic. In more counties than Westmeath. So I think there might be a kick in them this year.
We didn't mention much Tang and St. Malachy's. Probably not fair to ask Alan about St. Malachy's and our producer here tonight. But that's a tough start.
Look, it's
Tang coming down now that Section A. They'll be hoping to go get one of those 2 places as well. But Malachy's or St. Malachy's and.
Oh, I think Alan indirectly sent messages to his teammates when he talked about a similar game in the intermediate side. If you win that game, you have 2 points, you look at getting 2 more results and you move on. If you lose that game, you're looking over your shoulder. It's no different. I think that's the case. They would be the 2 teams that you'd pick that would be on the greater chance of the slide if they had an early loss, I think. Look, St. Malachy's always have the issue of how many of their hurlers, their top hurlers, will be available to play football, because these guys are top footballers too. And we mentioned Sam Duncan. When he's been flown home, they get David Lynch on the same plane and bring him back to Westmeath and back to Malachy's. He's equally, if not better, as Sam, as an all-around footballer and an athlete, and what he brings to it. So he's going to be a big loss. I don't know if Angus Clark or Niall O'Brien will play any football this year, and it's not fair to ask Alan and do it out here, but those guys would be a loss to a senior football setup. Tang had their year up in the top group. I don't think they picked up a result at all last year. I don't know who's in managing them. The guys that would have gotten them to intermediate glory and brought them up to the top end, there's quite a few of them that would have been coming towards their end of being very, very influential in games. So it's a really, really big fixture. Whoever doesn't come out the right side of that result could have a very tough campaign.
Section A of the Senior Championship. The Downs versus Coruscant Kinnegad. Saturday, actually, that's on Saturday at 7 o'clock, but before that in TG Cusick Park, St. Lomans versus Athlone, that's at 5 o'clock. And then the third game in that group, Mullingar Shamrocks versus Terrace Pass, on Saturday in Rochester Bridge at 7 o'clock. The first game we streamed last year in the Senior Championship was St. Lomans and Athlone. I'll start with that one again, Gerry. Again, Lomans have lost a couple of players. Are they weaker than they have been, losing, the couple of players? I suppose if you're booking 2 seats on that flight, you'd probably book another one for Ron O'Toole and get him back as well.
I'd pay for first class.
First class, okay.
Yeah.
He's gone. I think Fola has left him as well.
So I believe, yeah.
So,
Like there's rumour of others travelling at the moment too. I won't mention names, but I believe there's another lad travelling as well. So, yeah, I have to say it's funny. Looking forward to that match. The answer to that is yes. Of course, they're weaker if they've lost those lads. But like something I've been looking forward to for months and months and months is watching John Heston play under the new rules. Just how many 2 points does he go to score? A man of that class. All the league has gone by and he was entitled to retired a relatively young man, and I wish him well in his personal life, what Shane was saying there. But I'm really looking forward to seeing this man operating. He's only 33 years of age. A lot of club football left in him. I think he'd be sensational with these new rules.
Alan Athlone, put it up to St. Lomans last year. Again, I don't think no change in management. Owen Jordan there again for this year as well. And Athlone have, plenty of talent. We all know Ray Connellan, but Shane Allen came back into the county panel last year, and he's another super player. Lots to offer.
The first 25 minutes against Wicklow, I thought he was the best player in the field.
Oh, yeah,
he was absolutely outstanding. He was both. I think he scored a goal, didn't he?
That's the goal.
He got the goal. He was also in the full back line picking up balls that were breaking off the goalkeeper, and he was absolutely outstanding. And he's after improvement. He went through a bad time of it, through injury, I think, over the last couple of years. But coming back in late into the Westmeath setup, how well he was going, he started straight away. And listen, no one can about the way he played. He fully justified his selection. When you're talking about 2-pointers at club level, how many 2-pointers is Ray Connellan going to kick? Yeah. You're talking about John Heston, who will kick a number of them. But Ray Connellan, when he gets a little bit more time at club level, which you do, no matter what anyone thinks, that's the good thing about going back. You can finish playing with the county, you go back to your club. It's just not as intense, and the marking is not as tight. And if you stand off John Heston and Ray Connellan, these lads could cause serious damage to you. But in saying that, I know there are 2 of them are going to be closed down very quickly. There's no manager's going to go out and say, oh sure, leave Heston out there and let him have a pot if he wants, because we all know where it ends up. and Ray Canellan the very same. This is going to be very tight. If I don't know who the other players that you were talking about, Gerry, going away, but if
the
they're
one was
missing,
Danny McCartan was travelling. I don't know if that's. I hope I'm not. But that's.
I thought I saw him on a list. I think I read a list of team lads that were going to America for the summer intercounty players, and I thought I read Danny.
Well, perhaps that's what it is. Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So if they're missing Danny McCartan and Ronan O'Toole and Fola, they'll get hard to be at Ronan.
And put it on top of this, I know last year there was concerted effort by Paddy and his management team to focus on protecting their backline, which is somewhat susceptible. You know, like the old Dublin team, their inside backline can be got at. At the end of the day, they all won their battles. It might have been a little bit with Lomans, but they won't be able to play the defensive style of football that they set up last year with the amount of bodies. They always kept a connection, sure, but it's more structured now. They have 3 guys that cannot cross that line. So there will be a little bit more openness. The players that are either gone or rumoured to be gone are going to be massive losses to them. So Athlone will be targeting this. Equally, Lomans will not panic if they don't get a result. Their focus has been quarterfinals, semi-finals and finals for the last... They've been in the last 9 county finals.
They're arguably, along with Gary Castle, you could lads of the older generation say the Gary Castle team of the early 2000s probably the best club team they've ever seen. The Mullingar Shamrocks of the era before would say that's the best club, and now you'd have to throw this Lomans team into the mix as well, because they've been unbelievable. Like, and it's hard to go back to the well year after year after year, but these lads are doing it. The thing about Lomans is we're after naming 3 lads there that are gone away, but TJ Cox, Shane Dempsey and John Hesslin, these rules will suit them down to the ground. Peter Foy working up and down that wing.
Sam McCartan.
But God only knows where you play him. We're only talking about forwards here, where the rules will suit them down to the ground. Like, I'd say every point that Peter Foy has scored for Lomans in the last 3 years have been 2 pointers. I'd say every one of them. I've never seen him in a championship match tapping the ball over the bar from 14 yards. If he's going in that far, he's laying it off and he's going for a goal chance. But these new rules are going to suit them down to the ground. Now, Ronan O'Toole would be a loss to the Dublin footballers, and never mind the Westmeath footballers over the last few years. So how much of a loss is he going to be to Lomans? It's going to be massive. But at the same time, if the new rules weren't in, I would say that Athlone would win this game. But with the new rules in, I'd say, even though they're missing a good few lads at the minute, I still think that Lomans might just pip them, but they won't have it as easy as people may think on paper.
I think last week on the Hurling podcast, Castone Gagan are going into a championship this year with the target on their back. Lomans are going in this year, but Lomans are well used to that. They've been doing that for the last number of years.
7 out of the last 11 championships won, I think.
Is it fair to say they won't feel the same pressure?
That's water off a duck's back to them lads at this stage.
Yeah. Honestly, this weekend is not a huge date on the calendar for St. Lomans. No. They have a fixture to fulfil, believe it or not. They're so used to this. The jeopardy isn't the same in that top group. You can lose 2 games and still get to a quarter final. They won't want to be losing games, but they'll be introducing a few players here and a structure of play, and they'll be tweaking it, and they can play the game relaxed. Athlone will be really targeting this game. It sets up our championship, it gives us a chance. So the dynamic's a little bit different. The result isn't the end of the day for anyone. Win, lose or draw is not the end of the day in that group of the championship.
If you ask Paddy Dowdle right now, would you take 3rd place or 4th place into this group and play a quarter final? He wouldn't care. No. He wouldn't mind. He'd take it. Yeah, okay, let's go with that. Of course he would. They'll have no problem playing a quarter final. They won't fear anybody in that bottom group. Not at all.
They just wouldn't want to slip up.
But they would be trying to get lads back. Like Danny McCartan is going to be a big loss to them. Like the rumour is that the start was that Ronan O'Toole was coming home. Now the rumour is that he's not coming home. So who knows?
And then they've young lads that they'll want to have developed. Like young Killian Plunkett is playing. He played quite a lot of their league around the middle of the field, and they'd be hoping to get minutes and hours into him that he might be able to offer something at the end of a championship. You can judge yourself in league, but
an addition to them this year as well is the young man that came on straight up back onto the Westmeath senior panel. This from O'Hara.
Yeah, and we haven't
and we haven't seen him at club football. I think yet have we had adult football at all?
No,
but Gerry,
we did
a few years back.
Yeah. But he will be, the more football he gets under.
Like if Fola's gone and O'Hara's in, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Do you know, you probably
have, it'll probably be better for them, better if Fola was still around, but at least you know this lad's going to train the whole time, he's going to be there the whole time, he's going to put a shoulder to the wheel the whole time. I'm not too sure Fola did that, but it just goes to show how good he was, that he could turn it on when the
more and more I'm hearing about this year's Lomans Championship again. You know, that's what it feels like.
There's no doubt about that. And they have young lads coming, like Shawnee Bracken has been playing under 20, I think, for the last 2 years, and can't break through.
And he's slotting into a position where a cornerback or a wing back, where they would be looking at, we need to shore things up, or a bit more competition in that area. Like I said, the result won't bother them this weekend. It might bother Athlone more. Like the win for Athlone is a lot bigger than a loss for Lomans, if you know what I mean.
Fair enough.
Jack Gagan is going to benefit from it.
Another man.
Too. Like the more you analyse it, no shortage of
We're nearly going into the suspension now. With 15, like nobody said, Jason Daly has had the best boot in Westmeath as a goalie for the last 10 years, and there he is, sitting in between the sticks for Lomans with a new set of kick-out rules, and he'll love it.
Fresh, as you say.
Yeah, fresh, and maybe a little bit bitter, maybe, with
a point to prove.
A point to prove, perhaps.
Yeah. And two other games in that group, but I'm going to look at the other, the local derby. Last year's beaten county finals, the Downs against Coralstown Kinnegad. Now, lads, if this one doesn't whet the appetite, because I think neither of these teams will want to lose this game in particular anyway.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I agree with, very much agree with Shane's assessment and indeed Alan's of, the Lomans Athlone match, but that's certainly a match that neither of those two are going to want to lose. You're skin and hair flying.
But for different reasons, Gerry.
Yeah, but that is a serious championship match.
It should be.
Yeah.
It should be. I hope so.
Am I right in saying the Kinnegad have lost a couple of lads? Is Danny Woods gone away? Did someone say he's gone travelling?
From what I hear, Alan, I didn't hear names, but I heard that the numbers that are training are not like they were the last 2 or 3 years.
Well, I only heard his name mentioned now. He could play this weekend.
But Josh Gahan is away. Josh Gahan is away. Big loss for
Josh Gahan could be massive. Them two lads. If Danny Woods, I know Josh Gahan is definitely away, but if Danny Woods is gone as well, they are two massive losses, because they're lads that will go to the right here. They're lads that will really put the shoulder to the wheel and go into the trenches. When you need a lad to go into the trench when the going gets rough, they're two lads that will go into that trench here. They're going to be two serious losses. I just think that the new rules are going to suit this Downs team down to the ground. I think they're the one team, like, I would go as far as saying Luke Loughlin's unmarked. Like, it's more like, it's like looking at David Clifford. If you look at David Clifford, if you hold David Clifford to 8 points, you'll say, okay, we can handle that. The exact same is going to be for Luke. I say we, but I'm saying if anybody can hold Luke Loughlin to 8 points, that's a good day. That's a good day.
Thing for me on Luke, I'm a massive fan. I thoroughly enjoyed his performances this year, but he was deployed in his best position, which is inside, on the inside line, coming on a loop, taking it off a guy, running at somebody's shoulder. He had the opportunity to do everything he wants to do. The question for me, will the Downs, if the Downs have a full squad, they can play him there. But if they don't, they tend to bring him out to the half-forward line, and it's a slightly different game he's asked to play for them. So will he be as lethal from out there? Maybe not. So you have to see if they have everybody that can play him inside, and they should anyway. That's my opinion. New management there as well, remember?
Yes.
And new management in there, I think, is it Dermot Power?
Yeah.
That's in there, Lucy's dad.
Conroy.
Yeah.
Barry Conroy's in there. And from what I understand, and it's only whispers on the ground, that was a want from the playing group. That's what I heard. So they have a lot to prove to everyone. When everything's put in place for how they want it, they have a lot to prove to everyone that they were right.
When you talk about Luke coming out into that party, that was with the old rules. If we were managing the Downs, we would have brought him out there too, to try and get him into
I
space,
understand.
have a pot. But with these new rules, I'd just be saying, leave him in there. and just get enough ball into him. Because it doesn't matter, you can kick the ball into him anyway.
In any way,
he's decent in the air, he's lightning quick, and if he gets a run in, you're in trouble. Whoever's marking him has to stop him from turning and running at him.
Well, you throw in a Kevin O'Sullivan, Johnny Lynham, Charlie Drum, Joey Moore.
These guys,
a lot of quality.
I tell you, a big loss though is going to be Darragh Egerton. Be a big loss. He's going to be out for the next while. Will he come back towards the end of the championship? Possibly, but he is a big loss. He definitely won't be playing this weekend.
Is the Chute guy around? That
not sure.
Tom Chute.
Yeah.
You know, he's a good foil there for Luke inside.
Ian Martin was
yeah.
involved in the county. Like the Downs this year, you know, those, like, I don't care, Alan, you'll agree with me. You benefit from going in with a county team.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, completely.
They've had lads gone in that maybe, you know, previous years didn't go in for whatever reasons, but they've got, you know, Joey Moore got a lot of games to him, Kevin Sullivan, excellent in the latter stages with Westmeath as well. You know, if they bring their form with them, Johnny Lynham, you know, a bit of an enigma, but if he's back and right, you know, he's the man we wanted.
Yeah,
we go back to the league final last year, 2 goals, probably won his Division 3 final.
There's so many similarities with St. Lomans in terms of the amount of top level players that are in there, and a conveyor belt of underage that you can nearly cherry pick 1 or 2 out of every group, that if you can move them in slowly. Like Oisin Murphy came on in a few games last year, came on the county final if he didn't start.
No, he started.
He started. So there's another guy that's kind of on the periphery. He doesn't need to be the lead. You know, well, a smaller club like Milton Pass, we've a young guy, I just can't wait for the world to see him next year. He's top class. But there'll be massive demands for him.
His name's Tomas Donoghue.
It's not. That's 2 years' time. I'll say his name. Everybody should know him. It's Brian Ronan. He's just outstanding, and an outstanding attitude. And I know he's playing a lower level, division-wise in the minor, but he's just lighting it up. And we can't wait to have him because we need him. Those bigger clubs say, give him time. You know, hide him for a little while, let him develop further. So, and the Downs and Lomans are very, very similar that way. So they'll supplement their starting team with players that we're not very familiar with at the moment, but by the end of the championship we'll be knowing their names, and they'll go up then the following. Like Joey Moore, I'm delighted Joey Moore played with the county this year. I'd have been shouting for it for a while, whether it was personal or it was management that Joey wasn't playing. He's an excellent footballer. Alan talked about conditions in October, dirty, wet. He's the sort of man that thrives in those conditions, and
he has himself fitter and stronger now than he ever
he's
was.
such a good lad. He really is.
He'll be a big asset to the Downs, even more so than last year, because he was in with the county. Kelvin O'Sullivan, the same. I thought Kelvin O'Sullivan was outstanding for Westmeath this year. Like, he just came out of nowhere to just dominate some of them Division 3 matches or Division 2 matches, and some of the Tailteann Cup matches. He was outrageous in them. So they'll only benefit from having them lads.
Their opposition, Kinnegad.
Now, I want to ask you a question to you guys. How do you think Jack Cooney will adapt the new rules? Because I think I'm fair in saying, and not being too critical on them, that they were a defensive-minded team, trying to hit on the break. We've seen him in a county final 2 years ago. Will the new rules, you know,
They'll force his hand to a degree, really.
Yeah.
It will be a litmus test for this group, this Kinnegad group, as to whether we all saw it differently. I always felt that, look, Jack learned his trade, I guess, up in that Donegal era, and he deployed it in quite a few places that he went, and was really, really good at it and strong at it. I often felt that they were holding the reins of players a little bit too much to express themselves. You look at a Wayne Fox and what he could do with a bit of space and spray balls around. They had inside forwards, and with even Gilesy in the half forward line who can kick a 2-pointer. They were being sucked way back to protect against something I don't know if they always had to protect. So his hand will be forced to apply it. Then for me, I'll see if this Kinnegad team are as good as what I thought they were. That I didn't think they needed to protect themselves so much. They have huge pace, huge fitness. All of that side is there. Just, yeah, he'll have to. Sure, he has to play it that way.
Yeah.
I would have said that if it was the old rules, I would say the Kinnegad had no chance of winning the championship because they were too defensive. But with the new rules, they can't be that defensive. So now we're seeing, I think I said it, and a couple of lads got a little bit annoyed with me in the past where I said that if they're going to win this county final a couple of years ago in Columbus, they need to express themselves and go for it. Yeah. You're not going to win anything unless you go for it. These new rules are pushing you to go for it. So we'll now see, in the first 2 or 3 weeks of this championship, we'll see. I still fully expect Kinnegad to come out of the group, but we'll see in the next 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, when they have 2 or 3 games played, whether they're serious contenders or not. I think they are. I think they have the firepower up front to be serious contenders, but we haven't seen that because they have been so defensive minded. But I'm listen, Jack has been around a long number of years, an awful lot more longer than any of us coaching teams. If anyone's going to adapt to them, I'm pretty sure that he'll adapt quicker than most people.
Well, all I can say is based on what I saw in the league final, they adapted very well. That was one ripping game of football, and they played fabulous football and scored a lot of great scores.
And you know, they'll enjoy it more. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you have to enjoy it. And look, winning is the way that you enjoy, but your own personal performance and the style of football or hurling that you play or any other code, it has to be enjoyable, and you have to be, as Alan talks about, express yourself. You have to be able to make the most of your own abilities. And if you've a natural inside forward, coming back and filling up space on the top of the D, it can't be enjoyable for you. You know,
these rules are all about adapting to them, and the best coaches will adapt to them. And Jack Cooney is one of the best coaches out there. He'll adapt.
Lads, the third game, you know, we've spoken about the first 2 games in that group, and they're, you know, 2 great games to look forward to. But the third one in that group is a repeat of the quarter final last year. Mullingar Shamrocks and Turles Pass, Roger Bridge on Saturday evening at 7 o'clock. Now, this is a game that, you know, Shamrocks in Section B for a couple of years, came back up, and I think we were all looking forward to a semi-final against their local neighbours in St. Lomans, but no one told Turles Pass. And they got the better of them that evening, and Mullingar will say they took their eye off the ball. You know, they'll have a chance now to redeem this weekend.
Yeah. Gerry, go ahead. You've
been
quiet a bit.
Well, I would. Everything you said is absolutely spot on. I was looking there at the hurling at the weekend, and Brian Gearan doesn't seem to be kind of fully right or nearly fully right, and he's going to be a loss to them. He was a big addition last year when he came on board, but it's an intriguing game. You know, a lot of people seem to write off Turles Pass every year. Turles Pass have a phenomenal record in Westmeath football for a relatively small pick, relatively small parish. Like they're there or thereabouts every year since they turned senior, which is a remarkable achievement. I'd be hopeful of a good showing from Shamrocks this year, I have to say. I think like they've been building the last couple of years, and we're in the B section, they're now in the A, where you have a little bit more breathing space, as the lads have said. I think they might shade that match on the weekend. It's Saturday, isn't it?
Saturday,
and I'd be hopeful of them getting reasonably comfortably into the knockout stages.
Turles Pass under new management recently. Again, they've gone local with Gerry, and you know, we know all about Gerry as a player. Now it'll be interesting to see.
Well, he can't play. He's out injured at the minute, bad injury, so he's not able to play for another number of months. So he took over the reins for the year. Listen, I know that he has a few lads back. He's the 2 Glennons back playing, and they're going to be. They can only be a massive impact, like, to this team. I think these rules will suit Dennis Glennon down to the ground playing in full forward. If they can leave enough space in him, I don't care if he's 40 years of age. There's not a player in the county that'll get out in front of him to win ball if the good ball goes in. So he'll win it, maybe using David as someone coming on for the last 15-20 minutes where he can really hurt teams and stuff like that. But at the same time, Mullingar Shamrocks have Micheál Burke in his first year managing. Another really, really good club man, has done a lot of years backing up, like I think he was with Damien Gavin, with the 20s as well, so he'd be a really good guy. How important this game is, I think the winner of this game this weekend will come out of the group. This is how important this game is on is it Saturday evening?
Yes,
I think that's on Saturday evening. That's how important I think this game is. Whoever wins this game, and it's going to be a toss of a coin because Gerry really hasn't had that long to prepare. He's only been in for maybe 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks at the most. He hasn't had that long to put his own stamp on things, but I'm sure he will. And Micheál has had since the start of the year to put his stamp. So you'd make Shamrock very slight favourites, but at the same time, if the best club in the county in terms of being a credit to their area has to be Turrispass. They're a really small club, surrounded by Kilbeggan's only down the road, Rochbridge is only down the road. There's Malachy's are only over the road, you know what I mean? And Banlagore. So
Dangan and Croghan, which could have got a couple of their players over the years, didn't get them.
They're a really tight area to pull from, but they are in the business end of it the whole year. They're unbelievable. Since I think it was 1990, did they play in the county final out in Castdown against Mullingar Shamrocks?
Yeah, 94.
It was 94.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah,
Flan was a minor. Yeah,
and it was just. Since then, they've been at the knockout stages of the championship nearly every year, and they're a credit. They're an unbelievable club.
You talked about Nachi giving Tommy Mack a phone call. You know, it's very admirable that Dennis would have gotten a phone call off Gerry very quickly. Can you come back? We need you back, want you back. The respect that would be there to do that, and then the rest of the panelists and team. That the respect that they'd have for Gerry and what he's done for them, they won't be found wanting this weekend for effort and guile, and they're so honest.
Only other thing I'll say about Turrispass is, and everyone knows I'm a really, really good friend of Dennis Clements, okay? But he has to be the best player that Turrispass have ever seen. In terms of his longevity and the way that he just turns out, the shape that he keeps himself in, and down through the years, listen, things, no more than any of us, things don't go his way sometimes, things go his way a lot of the times. But for Gerry to ring him, okay, and to get him back, Dennis was never going to say no to someone like Gerry.
Yeah,
and for Gerry to pull that off, to get him back in onto it'll only be of benefit to Turrispass.
Oh, complete. It's a great step. It's a great move immediately. We're serious. And not saying that they weren't serious without Dennis. Dennis, 41 years of age, but Alan's said all the things about him that are true. But it was Gerry saying everything that has to be done for Turrispass to be competitive in this championship will be done. And that was the first one. That mightn't have been the easiest thing to do, to make a phone call, get this guy back, because it can upset the apple cart too. And David equally being back in there, and he shows a lot of guile. He is a leader in a training environment. I was there many, many years ago with Alan in his first year there. I'll say it, I've said it about very few teams, they'll qualify out of that group. They'll find a way.
They had a bad league campaign. They were relegated out of Division 1, I think, for the first time in a long time. So I suppose when you're losing, players, the rest of the panel will accept that, you know, what's gone by wasn't good enough and we need something else to come in, so you'll welcome the likes of
all of these games though,
without
say the two Glennons, without Conor Slevin for a lot of them, who was injured, without Nigel Hart and Jamie Ganute, and some of them without Joe Hyland, because he went in with the county. So you're there, that's 6 players off 15, and like no more than any other country team. If you have 6 lads off your starting 15 gone away and not been involved, it's very hard to fill in for them with good quality players. Okay, some of them will learn from it, and new lads coming up, and they wouldn't have had, there's a young lad playing hurling with us, Neil Pearson, they wouldn't have had him for any because he was with the county under 20 hurlers for up until a few weeks ago as well. So
Peter Clark
as well. So there's 8 lads that
it's over half a team.
Half a team back.
And it's very hard to, like, Malachy's are the very same. Malachy's go out every year, like people say, Malachy's in Division 3. We're lucky to stay in Division 3. We'd be missing that many players. We're missing 9 or 10 lads off our starting 15 the whole time.
Yeah, and I suppose the same applies to Killucan as well.
The same applies to Killucan, the same applies to Turrispass, Lomans, the Downs. These teams are getting to, like the Downs played in, did they play in 2 or 3 of the last few league finals, the last 4 or 5 league finals. To get to that position when you have so many lads on the county panel is outrageous. And they had Niall Mitchell in with the hurlers as well.
This is why this is great. It's so disappointing that our county teams didn't progress further in the year, but these clubs have had those men back now for 7 weeks, and it can develop them so much. Normally you're trying to do that, like they come in, they ease in a week before the championship, and you're trying to ingrain them and embed them into it, and you know the levels begin to climb. They've had 7 weeks now contributing back to their clubs. I think that with the change of rules, with the gap that we've had, with the high profile players that have had a rest and retired from inter-county but are by no means finished, and a group of new stars that we were exposed to with the county, football wise this year, we could have just a cracking senior, intermediate, junior 2 championships this year, but particularly intermediate and senior, who are contributing most of these players into those squads. It could be a really, really top class club championship.
Yeah, there's certainly 6 great games in the senior championship and in the intermediate championship this weekend as well, so we look forward to that. So for any spectators out there, get out there, get to the games, enjoy them. I'm not sure yet, as I haven't heard the schedule of what games are being streamed live on Iarmhi TV this weekend, but I'm sure it'll be on all the social media platforms in the next day or so. Look forward to it. Lads, we're going to finish up tonight. I want to thank Alan and Gerry and Shane for joining me on the podcast, and I hope that we'll see plenty throughout the year coming in with your valued opinions, and that's all they are, lads. They are opinions. You know, don't be texting Shane. You know, he's given
Change me number. Change me number.
We will provide that for all viewers. But on the cameras, Gavin. On production is Tom Browne. We've been on the Iarmhi YouTube channel, so we're looking for likes and we're looking for follows, so give us a like. We haven't organised our competitions just yet. We will be. You know, we're in the process of getting it. For people that didn't get a prize earlier in the year, we will do our very, very best to get them out to you. But it's week 1 of the football championships for 2025 senior intermediate, sponsored by Shane Murta, junior 1 and junior 2 by Clark's Bar here. We want to thank Kieran and his staff for looking after us so well here. We'll be back here next week, looking back on the hurling championship first round and looking forward to the next round of hurling championships. But to our viewers out there, thank you for joining us live here tonight. We'll be on Spotify tomorrow. All going well, we'll have it up. So for now, it's goodbye from Clark's Bar.